Well, hello all. As you know, I love to stealth camp, and the next place that I want to stealth camp is on the beach. But I believe in hiding and being invisible on a beach. So I've been looking for some sort of tarpaulin that I can cover myself with on the beach. And so I found this polypropylene bag and I just cut it with a hot nail and made it into this giant tarp, which I'm going to go down to the beach and then cover myself with this tarp in a trench and see if I'm invisible. But here's my problem. I'm colorblind. I wouldn't know if this is pink or gray or green or beige or what. So I was hoping there was some software that could look at camouflaged shelter, a debris shelter, or in this case, my tarpaulin on the beach, and would the software be able to detect me? The University of Nankai in China, mc.nankai.edu.cn, and it allows you, if you click on this square, to upload a picture. So I've uploaded this picture, and I don't know if you can see what it is, but it's my cat from above sleeping on a black sleeping bag. And the software manages to pick out most of the areas, misses the ear of the cat. Well, or does it? No, I think that may be the ear of the cat. But anyway, it manages to accurately pick up most of it. Let's take, for example, there, if you click on that image, do you see what this is? There's the giveaway. So it's a sniper or some person in camouflage gear on a mountain. This is quite well camouflaged. Here you see the two seahorses it picks up on the coral. So what I thought one could do is one could build a stealth shelter, photograph it, dump it here in this by clicking on this plus sign. If you click on it, it asks you to select an image. So let's upload this image. Let's see what that is. And then test whether your stealth shelter. So here is again the cat. Now I picked up parts of the cat. There's the ear, there's the paw, there's the other paw, but it missed this part of the cat. So here is the ear and head and the paw and the other paw, other ear of the cat. So it'd be interesting to try that out and see whether this software can actually detect one's stealth shelter. Well, here we are at the beach. Let's imagine we were going to stealth camp here for the night. Let's just show you the beach. Now this spot here is as good as any to place a little shelter and to try and bed down for the night. So let's just prepare it for our bed. So that's what it might be like stealth camping on the beach. Just trying to look as much like sea sand as possible, or if not, like a piece of washed up plastic bag, polypropylene. If one came late at night, after all the dog walkers have been, I'm sure that one could almost disguise oneself and possibly have a fairly nice stealth camp. I'm going to just take some photographs and check out how this matches with our camouflage identification software. I guess it doesn't take camouflage recognition software to see that the tarp and the sand are very different, and it picks it up there, and it picks up my shoes here, which were better camouflaged. So well done to the software. So anyway, I can see that one needs a much darker material than this polypropylene, these bags. So I guess I'll go to the material shop and see if I can find some fabric that's this sort of beigey dark brown. This is too light. Well, I would be reasonably happy to have camped on that beach, especially to arrive long after dark, and to leave before sunrise, especially after all the dog walkers have gone. You can see it's a very popular beach for dog walkers. And, you know, in the dark, the colors begin to disappear and merge, so it's very unlikely that anyone would have stumbled across me lying there in the dark. And it'd be quite nice to come after a full moon. The full moon this month is on the 16th of April. Say you came on the 17th or 18th, the full moon would rise at about 8 o'clock. So it'd be dark already, and then one could set up camp and enjoy the moonrise over the beach. That'd be absolutely beautiful because the beach faces east. Now, some folks might wonder, what have religion and stealth camping got to do with each other? I think there's quite a lot. For example, Jesus was a stealth camper. What do you think they paid our good man Judas Iscariot 30 pieces of silver for? To find Jesus. Jesus was stealth camping on the Mount of Olives under some olive trees, and the authorities couldn't find him. So they had to pay Judas 30 pieces of silver just to bring the soldiers who were going to arrest him to Christ. So the greatest man who ever lived stealth camped for 3.5 years. He moved from town to town with 12 men, big and strong. You weren't going to mess with him. That's a good way to make sure that you stealth camp in safety. Then what about the greatest prophet who ever lived? John the Baptist. He stealth camped. He had a lovely camel skin coat. That's about all that they say he had. He lived on the local food, which happened to be locusts and wild honey. So the greatest prophet, the man who ever lived, stealth camped. The greatest prophet who ever lived. What about Elijah? He stealth camped for 3.5 years. Ravens, I think it was, fed him by the brook Cherith. What about the father of the faithful, Abram? He stealth camped. He left Ur of the Chaldees, and then he lived in tents. And all his whole life he stealth camped, as did Isaac and Jacob. So the God of Abram, Isaac, and Jacob, all three of them stealth camped. And then Joseph stealth camped until he was sold into slavery. And then he said to the Israelites, please carry my bones out of Egypt, because he wasn't set on this permanent civilization. And then the Israelites were led out of Egypt. Well, what about our man Moses? He stealth camped. He forsook the huge and major civilization, the empire of the time, Egypt, and he said, no, I don't want to be Pharaoh's next of kin. And he sided with the Israelites, and he got chased out of Egypt, and he stealth camped in the wilderness until he was 80, and then he led the Israelites through the wilderness for another 40 years. So they stealth camped for 40 years. They traveled and lived in booths. And it's quite interesting that if you go to Nehemiah, I think it's, Nehemiah is in the period after they were taken into captivity. They came back to Jerusalem, and as they cleaned out the temple, they found a book of the law. And the book of the law, and they found it actually on the 15th day of the 7th month. They started reading it. On that particular day, they read that they were supposed to stay in booths or debris shelters. If you look at Leviticus 23 verse 40, Israelites were commanded every year to build a debris shelter and to live in it. They would go and pick branches such as palm branches, go to the mountains, pick them, and come and build these shelters in the roads and on the top of their roofs and wherever they found an open piece of space to build these. And they were supposed to do it every year, but they didn't do it. All through the judges, through the kings, through the captivity, and finally when they made it back to Jerusalem, Nehemiah, I think it's Nehemiah chapter 8 verse 16, it says that they went and to the mountains, got all these branches of pines and myrtle, I think it was, all the leafy, dense tree branches, and they built themselves debris shelters, and they dwelt in them for 7 days, and they feasted and they enjoyed themselves, as one always does in a debris shelter, and stealth camping. So stealth camping was actually a large part of the Bible, and I've only just scratched the surface. But more than that, stealth camping is a lifestyle. It's an anti-materialistic lifestyle. Now, if anyone wants to say that Jesus was materialistic, yeah, you're going to have a really hard time proving it. Oh, but his coat was, they gambled for his coat. Yeah, that's about all that you have when you're on the move. You have a nice coat. It's like your sleeping bag. You just sleep in your coat. And that's what Jesus had. He had a very nice coat, but that's about all he had with him for 3.5 years. He said, the foxes have lairs and homes, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. That's a stealth camper. So Christ stealth camped for the 3.5 years of his ministry. He had a nice coat, yeah, just as John the Baptist had a nice coat of camel hair. And that's what you need when you're stealth camping, a nice warm outer garment to sleep in. And so that's what they had. But you can read the Bible. There's no encouragement, especially in the New Testament, of materialism. We would pity Abram. We would pity Isaac, Jacob, living in tents all their lives. We would pity all the Israelites stealth camping for 40 years. We'd pity Elijah and John the Baptist. You wouldn't want Christ's lifestyle of being on the move and sleeping under olive trees, etc. It's an anti-materialistic message. In spite of what all these preachers who love their big cathedrals, love their big salaries, love the word tithe, even though it's only mentioned twice in the New Testament, and that is speaking to the Pharisees, where Christ said, you tithe, mint, rue, this, that, and the other, these ought you to have done, but you've neglected the weightier matters of the law, which is judgment and mercy and faith, or something like that. So Christ was, in my opinion, as was John the Baptist, as were all the people of faith, they were anti-materialistic. They were not pro-materialism. Our world, this is not our world. We want our tent pegs lightly dug into this world. We want to be, we have here no enduring city. So that's my attitude. And hey, I'd be happy to hear any comments to the contrary.